takes just a, okay. We are going to start in 2 minutes.
Please ask the host to give you permission to record. So I can't do it unilaterally.
Okay, that's okay. We'll share the recording that we have with you, Bob.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I'll do our traditional introduction to the chapter to help people know who we are and what we're doing here. And then I'll go into the questions. Karen, you weren't here before, so I'll let you know. We actually are going to do 15 questions that are just like they would be on the test to see how we're doing over chapters 1 and 2 in the BABOK version 3. So we're going to see how we do compared to how we did last week. We tried the same thing last week, but not everyone had read chapters 1 and 2 completely. And it's, you know, it's its own critter. It's very similar to version 2 in some ways, and I'm going to highlight some of those ways, but we're just going to go through and do the best we can, answer the questions, and then find out why we either got it right or got it wrong and learn together. And you and Bob are both CBAP certified, so we are covered as far as having our actual certification credit, education credit for this hour. And I'll record who's here in just a minute. I hope everyone has had a fantastic week.
Yep.
This is our 3rd week to meet. And we've had a variety of different people, but Yulia and Bob have been here for every single meeting, and me too. And so everyone gets the credit for showing up here at the beginning, and they will get the credit for this hour. And whenever we finish the study group, we'll be sending out an email to each person to show that so that they can submit it for education credit to show which classes they attended. Okay, we are at 7 o'clock on the dot. It is my tradition and my habit to start on time and end on time out of respect for the participants. So let's get started. I will move this aside for now. This is our 3rd chapter study group meeting. This is the first one in September. Happy meeting. This is the IIBA for Tampa Bay, Florida chapter. We have the privilege of serving all of North Florida as well as anybody else who wants to join us. You can choose to be a member of our chapter, and we will do our best to do what we can to help you. That includes introducing you to people that you want to ask to be mentors. We mentor also. We are also helping people find jobs, work on their resumes, work on the study group, and get their certification. So that's where we are right now. Up here in the chat, you'll see this address. This is the address for previous meetings, recordings. The very first meeting, unfortunately, apparently did not record, but the last one did. So the second meeting recorded. In that meeting and in this meeting, we will be going through study questions from Watermark, which I subscribed to so that I could use their questions for this class. Our mission at the IIBA for Tampa Bay is to bridge the gap between industry leaders and business analysts by building partnerships with professionals, educators, and employers so that we may empower, instruct, and engage the Tampa Bay IT community. Whatever we can do to accomplish that is what we're going to do. If you have any suggestions, pass them on. You can reach us in a variety of different locations. First of all, there is our website, TampaBay.IIBA.org. We also have Meetup, Facebook, LinkedIn, and a LinkedIn page. There are people that participate in different ones of these. Reach out to any of these and you can have a question answered, get more information. Our board members, we have Cliff Gray as our president, Lori is our finance person, Caitlin and Priscilla are our members at large. If you would like to be on the board for the IIBA of Tampa Bay, we would welcome you. Members at large don't have specific responsibilities. They lean in whenever they have time and ability, and we happily have very small tasks that we ask them to do. Priscilla's here with us today. The study group leaders, myself, here is my LinkedIn address if you'd like to contact me through LinkedIn. I'm the Vice President of Career and Professional Development for the IIBA of Tampa Bay. Tiffany Gardner is not here today. She is my cohort in crime, but she also has a LinkedIn address here. I don't remember the company she works for, but she'll tell you when she comes back. With our study group, we have a requirement that we have to have at least one person that is CBAP certified. The person that is here today is Bob Churchill. He has an awesome website. You can see it here on the screen, and you're able to reach him should you need to at this address. Also, Rohit occasionally pops in. He is also available here at these addresses. Let's get a roll call of who is here. Let's see, Yulia is here, correct?
Yeah, I'm here. Hello, everyone.
Hello. Let's see. And Ilya is here?
Yeah, that's me, actually.
Yes. Leslie is not here. Tiffany here. Bob is here. I am here. And is there anybody else that's already on the list that is here that I just am not aware of? Oh, let's see. Yes,
Siddharth is here.
Priscilla is here. We update this. And who was the other person?
Siddhartha.
And Cliff's here.
Oh, Cliff. Okay.
And Wojciech also, hi.
Cliff's already on the list above.
Yes.
About fifth down.
Oh, I've already got you, Cliff. I'm sorry.
And I'm right above him.
Thank you.
And you could add Karen Archibald.
I will add Karen Archibald. Karen, I know your name from somewhere. How do I know you?
I actually used to be a part of the board back when Mandy and who else? Back a while ago.
Spell your last name for me, please.
Archibald, Archibald.
Okay, just want to be
Yeah.
sure I've got it right.
Yeah.
Okay, we don't need this link here anymore. Okay, is there anyone else here that I haven't given credit to?
Yeah, the only people on that list that should not be there are Leslie and Tiffany. So that's me and I'm sorry, I can't say your name. The guy right ahead of me. Sorry,
Okay.
Michael and whatever. I'm sorry, I can't say his name.
Mosier, and let's see, Priscilla is here. Okay,
And can you please add Lionel Jones, please?
I'm sorry, say that again.
Lionel Jones. Lionel.
I
Lionel Jones, it would be an ad.
Oh, thank you. Thank
Yeah,
you.
sorry.
I was trying to find it on my list.
Yep.
Okay.
Lionel Jones.
Lionel space Jones.
Okay, got it. I
And
want to give
then,
everybody credit. Thank y'all for helping me get it accomplished correctly.
and
Okay,
then the two that are missing up above, not the very two at the top, but the two at the bottom, both of those are a yes as well.
excellent. Thank you. Well, we've got a great
Michael is
crew.
here, yeah.
Okay. We're good, guys. Thank you for helping me make that clear. Okay, for our schedule, we have met 2 times. We're on our 3rd meeting. We're going to be meeting every Tuesday. Right now, we have the 7th, which is today. We're going to be meeting next Tuesday, as well as every Tuesday through the end of the year, with the exception of the week of Thanksgiving and the very last week of the month. If you're unable to make the meeting, we will have recordings available as long as we have no technical difficulties. But if you're actually able to participate in the meeting, I honestly think you will learn more than otherwise. Our, our class last week was very informative, I think. We were able to get 80% correct, but that was us going through the conversation, getting a somewhat consensus, and then going through the analysis of when we either got something right or something wrong. So we're going to do that again this week. Today, we're going to work again on chapters 1 and 2. If you have your book available or if you have a PDF of it, I sincerely suggest that you work with us to help find where these answers are, because Watermark is very notorious for being able to get really close to the real questions that will be on the certification test. I mentioned this, let's see, during our very first meeting. This is the back page to the title page. I said that even this page is important, and Tiffany said, what do you mean? Let me explain. This is literally the credit of, they want to be able to give credit and say it's a trademark of. What happened in version 2 on the test is there were questions about something that was listed here that was not in the book. It wasn't anywhere in the book. And so the reason I'm bringing this up is I want you to understand that if it's listed here and it's not in the book, their reasoning for version 2 test was, as a professional, it's up to you to go look for things that make sense. So if it's here and it's not talked about in the book, there's probably going to be questions on it in the test itself. It may be 1 or 2 questions, but if you want to be as completely prepared as possible and be equipped to be the best business analyst you can be, at least understanding the basics of these is a good idea. So with no further ado, let's go to the questions. We're going to do the introduction and BA key concepts for chapters 1 and 2. Begin a new exam. The first question, what are all the core concepts referred to in the requirements lifecycle management knowledge area? Context, change, solution, need. Change, need, solution, context, value, stakeholder. Comparison, need analysis, verification, traceability, allocation, and change. Or change, need, solution, context, validation, analysis, comparison, and traceability. Is there any we can immediately eliminate?
Traceability isn't one of the elements, so that's C and D out.
Okay.
Mhm.
And is stakeholder one?
No, we can eliminate, I think, stakeholder.
So if we've eliminated C, D, and B, let's try A. Ooh,
Incorrect.
okay. So all of the key concepts are referred to in each knowledge area. This is only partially correct. We need to go to table 5.0.1. So let's do that. 5.0.1. Here's our page. We're on page 77. So we have changed the act of transformation in response to a need. Need is a problem or opportunity to be addressed. Solution, a specific way of satisfying one or more needs in a context. Stakeholder, a group or individual with a relationship to the change, the need, or the solution. Value is the worth, importance, or usefulness of something to a stakeholder within a context. And then context is the circumstances that are influenced by and provide understanding of the change.
What is in chapter 5?
It is in chapter 5, but these are the core concepts in the life cycle management knowledge area. I am pretty sure I checked to review chapters 1 and 2. Let's go to the next one, and if we get something else that's outside of those chapters, we'll check it, okay?
Mm-hmm.
The BABOK poses basic questions that are answered as the BA navigates through the requirements and design cycle. This doesn't seem like chapters 1 or 2 either. What is the order of the 4 questions in which are processed during the design cycle? Well, I tell you what, let's pick one of these and see what chapter it's in, okay? Which one do you think it would be correct?
B.
B.
Okay.
And,
Let's check it. Okay, this is chapter 2. So we're doing better. Chapter 2.5, I'm sorry, figure 2.5.1.
It's page 20 in the book.
Thank you. Here we go. So the requirements design life cycle. Why do I want it? What are the needs? What do I want? What are the conditions? So you're going to continue to go around in this circle to identify what the requirements in the design are. Would y'all like to continue or go back and check to be sure we're on 1 and 2?
Well, this was 2, in
This
fairness.
was 2. I agree. Let's see what the next one is. Would someone else like to read this one?
I
I
can.
Somebody start.
Okay.
I'll do it. Your organization has just determined a new system is needed to meet a new market opportunity, and you have been asked to evaluate and investigate the underlying rationale. You have been charged with ensuring that the widest possible range of alternative solutions are considered. What is the output of your work?
So would it be business requirements, change strategy, solution scope, or business objectives? So you want the widest possible range of alternative solutions.
I would say C.
Solution scope.
Solution scope.
Scope sounds nice.
I would say B, change strategy. Let's check.
Let's try C and see what we get. A
Okay.
is correct.
Ooh.
Business.
Yeah,
Wow.
chapter 6. No,
That is
something.
chapter 6. Okay, guys, let's go back. Select exam. I know this is what I chose earlier. Introduction and B concepts. We'll do it again. Okay. In the requirements lifecycle management knowledge area, which is the core concept that maintains requirements for reuse to extend value beyond the current initiative. I bet you we're going to get this one right.
Didn't we have this one last session?
Value. It's value.
It is.
Value is about maintaining requirements for reuse. Good job. Okay, which is not a true statement regarding the role of the business analyst. The business analyst discovers, synthesizes, and analyzes information from a variety of sources within an organization. The business analyst plays a role in aligning the delivered solution with stakeholders' needs. The business analyst selects the projects that best meet the organization's strategic initiatives after performing analysis activities. And the business analyst plays a role in aligning the design solution with stakeholder needs.
C.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think B is not correct?
No, C.
I'll
C as in cow.
see.
We are
No.
correct.
Mm-hmm.
The executive team generally selects projects. We just get to carry them out. But you know, as your organization matures and as your role becomes more recognized as being valuable, you will get the opportunity to be able to say, we need to consider these things to be fixed. So I've seen that happen in multiple organizations. I'm excited about it. Business analysis can be performed from a diverse array of perspectives. Which of the following is not a perspective outlined in the BABOK? Business intelligence, agile, business process management, or waterfall?
D.
D.
D is in dog.
D is in dog.
That is not a stated perspective. Good job. The system shall be available 99.3% of the time during service hours of 6 a.m. to 9 p.m., 7 days a week is an example of what type of requirement? Solution,
Non-functional.
stakeholder,
A
business.
non-functional, a D.
I think y'all must know this answer. Non-functional requirements describe conditions under which a solution must remain effective or a quality of solution that a solution must have. You would not be shocked, I'm sure, at how many times this is an interview question is, what is a non-functional requirement, and give me an example. Which of the which of the following best describes an element? They are mandatory guidelines regarding how to perform a task or utilize a technique aligned with best practice. They are mandatory guidelines regarding how to utilize a technique aligned with best practice. There are key concepts that are needed to understand how to perform a task or utilize a technique. They are mandatory guidelines regarding how to perform a task aligned with best practice. Are there any we can eliminate?
C.
Can we eliminate C, or C your choice?
No, C is a choice.
C is a choice, yeah. Because
Okay.
elements are not meant to be mandatory.
This is the correct definition for the element. Elements are key concepts that are needed to understand how to perform a task or utilize a technique. Good job. Regulators are responsible for the definition and enforcement of standards. Which of the following lists include ways standards can be opposed on the solution by regulators? Sponsor legislation or audit standards, corporate governance, legislation, organizational centers of competency, sponsor legislation, organizational centers of competency, or sponsor audit standards and corporate governance.
I'm between B and D. I think it's more B.
Anyone
What about
believe?
the others?
I'm liking B too, but yeah,
Well, let's check it.
we'll see.
All right.
Yay.
Regulators are responsible for the definition and enforcement of standards which can be opposed on the solution through a corporate governance standards, legislation, or standards defined by an organizational center of competency. Let's talk about organizational centers of competency. Some companies don't call it that. They call it, this is the way we've always done it. They call it other things, but it's usually best practices that are formalized in some way. Sometimes your PMO is going to have something like this, and that may be their organizational center of competency.
Yeah, in the book they don't mention it.
The book doesn't. The book does not mention this.
Yes, organizational center of competency. At least I don't remember.
Let's double check. Regulators, organizational centers of competency. It's right here.
Okay.
Okay. Next one. Susan is a business analyst developing a screen mockup for a key stakeholder showing fields from a data model. Which of the following is true? Susan is eliciting requirements and using the data model fields to understand user needs. Susan is defining the design and Susan is defining the design of some aspects of the solution based upon elicited requirements. Susan is working both as a business analyst and a design architect, or Susan is assisting the architect and developer to complete their deliverables.
B.
In total B, I think.
B is in boy, yeah.
This is correct. Let's talk about screen mockups or wireframes real quick. Screen mockups are a great way to get everybody to see the same thing, literally visually see the same thing. But you have to be careful whenever you're working with wireframes or screen mockups, because sometimes the user literally expects it to look like the screen mockup. And that's not always the way the UX guy, the UI guy, the development can create it. I've actually was told by a project manager, she said, your screen mockups are too good. They're disappointed when they see the actual product. So they feel like if they see it, it becomes literal and tangible, and that's what they're going to be able to touch. It's a promise. So be very aware that of their perception whenever you're doing this. Say we're just going to use some pictures on a page to lay it out of what it could look like, and don't let them think that this is what it will look like, unless you're also doing UI and UX, or you have that permission. At a conference for business analysts, there was a heated debate on the topic of the BACCM and the order of importance for the 6 core concepts. Which of the following statements are correct? No single concept holds greater importance or significance over any other concept. Stakeholders should be identified as the first key step in using the BACCM. Deriving the solution is the first priority, as that drives the priority of the other 5 concepts, or the need must be addressed first, as this is the basis for the change.
A.
A.
Very good. Each core concept within the BACCM is defined by the other 5, such as no single concepts hold greater importance over any other concept. But I can understand why people would get passionate, because in their own experience, they may have experienced one being more important. Passionate people are usually my favorite people, as long as they can be reasoned with. A distinguished business analyst stated the following to a project sponsor: "My projects are always successful because I apply all BABOK 3.0 base perspectives when I plan and execute the work on my project." Why is this an invalid statement? This is invalid because applying all perspective doesn't ensure project success. This is invalid because perspectives outlined in the BABOK do not represent all the context for business analysis or the complete set of business analysis disciplines. This is invalid because perspectives are only useful when planning BA tasks, not executing them. And this is actually a valid statement. The BA is demonstrating the ability to plan and execute BA tasks through several lenses.
A.
A.
It's a
B.
B. It's a B.
Okay.
I'm voting for B.
Those people who think it's A, tell me why you think it's A.
Oh, because it doesn't ensure that the project will, I mean, if you will follow the book thoroughly, still it doesn't mean that you will succeed in your
I
project.
But
agree.
That's how
no,
I understood
I
it.
know I need to take back my A. I think it's actually probably B, because it's verbatim in the BABOK. BABOK does not represent all the contexts.
This is a quote straight out of the BABOK.
Think so.
You are correct. This is a quote straight out of the BABOK. It's really important. I told you, I'm going to say it probably every time. If you examine a $100 bill so much that you would recognize a counterfeit, examine the BABOK so much that whenever the quote isn't perfect, you know it. Which of the following is true about knowledge areas? They represent or correlate to project phases. They comprise the business analysis project lifecycle. They represent areas of specific business analysis expertise that encompass several tasks, or they provide a methodology for completing business analysis work.
C.
C.
Let's find out. Correct. This is the quote out of the book, in fact. A business analyst has been assigned to a new initiative that is very complex and it requires detailed solution that drives a significant change from how the organization currently conducts business. How can the business analyst go about understanding the nature of this initiative? Identify all major stakeholders, confirm the project is aligned to the goals and objectives as stated in the project charter, identify the ranking of the organization within the identified industry, gain a thorough comprehension of the current state of the organization to determine what activities need to be completed to move to a desired future state.
So the question says that it's already approved project, right?
Mhm.
I would go for B.
Okay, tell me why you would go for B.
Because project chapter is already, the project is approved.
That would be
So,
true.
and for me to get myself familiar with initiative, first I would need to understand what the goals of these initiatives.
That makes sense.
It's got to be between A or B, in my opinion, because either way.
A comes much later. You learn about stakeholders later. The first rule, you need to know objectives, why you are doing it. Then you need to define kind of success.
Well, this says that we want to understand the nature of this initiative.
Why would D not be a good answer?
Because
kinda
it's kind of
vague.
analysis.
I vote for D. Yeah.
Let's go with Bob and see what happens. Business analysis can be used to understand the current state, to define the future state, and to determine all the activities required to move from the current to the future state. So in the question, when it says go about understanding the nature of the initiative, and it also referred to significant change of the organization, how they currently conduct business, this has it all over it. It's the current state, the activities designed for the future state. So this is the transformation that we're looking for.
Again, if you look at all the possible phases through an engagement, you want to be aware of what you'll be doing in all of them right from the beginning. And the needs will be based on what you're doing now if there's an existing process. If there isn't, you start from scratch. This doesn't necessarily apply. But if you're already doing something, what your current process is or isn't drives the need for a change.
I agree. Anybody have any questions about this one or comments? Most of y'all are probably experienced business analysts, and you can give us some experiences that will help other people understand these better. So if you have a quick story, offer it up. Who would like to read this one?
Sure.
Go ahead.
You are a business analyst assigned to your first Agile project. To better prepare, you're researching the role of the business analyst in the world of Agile. You come across a blog authored by a self-proclaimed expert in the field of Agile, who states the role of the business analyst is limited and will soon be eliminated in Agile projects. Which of the following best refutes that statement? A, business analysis is performed through many varying perspectives, one of which is Agile. All of the tasks described in the BABOK are relevant within the context of Agile, but they may be performed somewhat differently. B, business analysis is a stated role. Anyone who performs business analysis tasks can be considered a business analyst. C, the blogger is correct that the role of the business analyst is not prescribed and eventually will not be needed on Agile projects. And D, the business analyst role will continue to be performed within Agile projects, though the scope of the work and the tasks within the current framework will likely change.
This is a very interesting question.
It is.
Because B, let's say it's a direct quote from the book, and A is a quote from the book.
Mm-hmm.
I would go for A, based on what I remember. What about others?
Yeah, I think A, because it's about Agile, right? There's a reference to Agile. And in B, there is no reference to Agile, and they're talking about Agile. So maybe
That's true. Okay.
What about
me,
what about D? Okay. Oh, so A is right. Okay.
So
For
BABOK,
me,
I'm with you. I thought D myself.
D
Because
looks
it
like
talks
you
about
could-
scope of work, and Agile talks about things in sprint, scoping it out in different sprints.
right?
So that changes the dynamics of, that's more about the methodology.
Mhm.
That's why I thought maybe D, but okay, it's A.
Well, the people that recognize this as a quote are doing that $100 bill thing. That, it's like, that's the one, and it actually answers the question. This one, I believe, is in the book too, but it doesn't answer the question. So BABOK 1.2 discusses Agile as one of the perspectives in the BABOK. Moreover, Agile approaches are taken into consideration when planning the business analysis approach in 3.1, which is not in chapters 1 or 2.
The other interesting thing is that all three roles defined in Agile, or at least in Scrum, are actually totally compatible with BA work and approaches.
Yes. I've acted as a product owner, which just means you're doing business analysis, but you're also doing some other things. I've acted as a Scrum Master, which means that you're working on the communication side a lot more and a lot less on gathering requirements, and you're working on team dynamics. What's the third one, Bob?
Developer.
Well, that's true. I know many developers that go in and gather requirements and then they execute them and verify that they executed them
Well,
properly.
it used to be the developers did everything. They
Mhm.
were called programmer analysts, and you couldn't do the job unless you were a developer. So if the I think any organization that treats their developers as just mice in a hole that you feed requirements to when work comes out of are doing it wrong, but that's just me.
Yeah, I mean, the developer background is certainly useful for the awareness of how implementation can differ depending on the wording of requirements, but I have the statement which I think we can probably agree that developer and business analyst should never go together. I mean, the person who is a developer is just thinking about solution immediately whenever he or she hears some statement, instead of going deeper into understanding on the background and the need behind the requirement, right?
That's probably a shortcoming of why things have evolved the way they have, because many developers don't think necessarily about that very perspective, and also they may not always have the best interpersonal skills. That's a stereotype.
Yeah.
Outsourcing is a big issue with developing work. Everybody outsources it nowadays.
The
So
other thing is, more generally, other than developer, team member is technically the third role in Scrum. That can include testers, BAs, developers, and anybody else. So graphic artists, whatever. So database analyst. So it's a more general thing than just developer.
Okay, very good. Thank you, Bob. Sarah has just completed her required task as prescribed by the business analysis plan. Although the project is completed, how can Sarah continue to deliver value to the enterprise? Sarah needs to conduct a readiness assessment to determine if the organization is ready for additional changes. Sarah can create test plans to confirm adoption of the changes by personnel. Sarah needs to be prepared to conduct analysis in support of enterprise evolution and continuous improvement. And Sarah does not have any further work to complete, as she's done what the project manager is asking for.
C.
I think I recalled this one before, so I'm going to stay quiet, but the test plans at the very least you can X out because that we've already completed the project.
I agree. Who has an idea of what the correct answer is? Okay, even if you remember this.
Not sure.
C.
Let's try it. Business analysis may be performed within the boundaries of a project or throughout the enterprise evolution and continuous improvement. So let's say your company has put in a database and you know that in 6 months they're going to need to upgrade a platform, add new regulations, something like that. You need to set up your database so that even if you're not there available to answer questions for the next person, they know what has been done, who was involved, what format it's in, and what needs to be done in the future to get it working with the new changes. What is the key difference between enterprise and organization according to the BABOK? An enterprise is a group of people working toward a common goal. An enterprise can contain one or more organizations. The terms are synonymous and can be used interchangeably. or an organization can contain one or more enterprises?
B.
B.
As in
B.
boy.
B.
Very good. An enterprise is a system of one or more organization and the solution they use to pursue a shared set of common goals. Okay. Rafa is a BA facilitating a workshop to understand the current order fulfillment process. Sandra is the current process owner and the key contributor to the workshop. What type of stakeholder is Sandra? Is she the domain subject matter expert, the implementation subject matter expert, the customer, or the end user?
Ugh, this question.
A.
What's the answer?
A or
vote
B?
for A.
Go for A.
The domain subject matter expert is any individual with in-depth knowledge of a topic relevant to the business need or solution scope. Because she is the current process owner, she has in-depth knowledge of the current solution scope.
Yeah, and also BA trying to understand the current process. That's why it's not B.
Right, I
Okay,
agree.
the implementation subject matter expert, that's like a developer, right?
Mm-hmm.
Or the person who makes the solution and the change actually happen.
Right,
Mm,
I agree. So we have finished this. Let's check our answers. Let's see, submit exam. Few results.
Yeah, but one everybody did mistake except Bob. I don't remember.
That's true. That's
Yeah,
true. But
so
Yeah.
we are still going to save this one.
it's about how to understand initiative, context of initiative.
That's correct. Okay, let me go back here. Let me save this so I can just have it in here. I will do the trimming later. We have 20 minutes left. Would y'all like to continue?
Sure.
Okay. I am all for, let's keep going.
I'm sorry, this initiative question still bothers me.
Which one?
The one Bob answered correctly about initiative. So the question was to what we need to do to understand. So we were given a project. So now what we need to do to understand the context of initiative. And the answer was that we need to understand the current state and how we can move to future state.
Okay.
Yulia, did you by chance get down the chapter or section that answer was
It's
contained in?
1.2. It's 1.2,
Let's
paragraph
get it.
2. Page
Oh.
number 2 in the book.
Well, let's just go to
Or
page number
PDF.
2.
Because understand the context of initiative is basically why we have this project.
Yes. V1, okay, page number 2.
Second paragraph. 1.2, second paragraph.
Okay, let me just read this so everybody can hear the same thing. Business analysis is performed on a variety of initiatives within an enterprise. Initiatives may be strategic, tactical, or operational. Business analysis may be performed within the boundaries of a project or throughout enterprise evolution and continuous improvement. It can be used to understand the current state, to define the future state, and to determine the activities required to move from the current to the future state.
So how it's helped me to understand the context of initiative? I still don't get it, to be honest.
Bob, do you have any wisdom?
Repeat the question, please.
So the question is that we need to understand the context of initiative and how, by looking at the current state and how we can move to future state, is helping me to understand context of initiative.
Okay, if you have identified a change and you have a current state, then understanding that means you've said implicitly there's something wrong with the current state. And you have to understand what the current state is and how you're going to change that to understand where you're going to get. You can't, I mean, you have to identify where you're going to get to, and in order to do that, you have to know what you, where you are, to figure out what the gaps are and the roadmap to get there.
Okay. Yeah. Okay, now it makes sense. Thank
But
you.
the other options gave more targeted what you're going to be doing to try and understand the state, versus that was a more general, well, just understand it. So I guess that was where I personally got tripped up. I thought you needed to have a more targeted method of action or path of action.
Well, the way I approach it is I do a really complete discovery process maps, data collection process, characterizations to find out what's going on now. And then we can automate that, we can rearrange it, we can take steps out, we can put steps in, we can scrap it and do something totally different. We can divide steps, we can combine steps. Really understanding what you're doing now really drives the whole thing. And again, that's if you already have a current process. If what you're doing is going to be entirely new, then there's a different thing that happens. I think most of the BA stuff is about change, working from an existing project or situation or system or operation to a new one, but designing a new one from scratch and identifying the needs for that is equally important.
Thank you.
Any other questions about that? Okay, let's see how many questions we can get done in 15 minutes. Your organization has just determined a new system is needed to meet a new market opportunity, and you have been asked to evaluate and investigate the underlying rationale. You have been charged with ensuring the widest possible range of alternative solutions are considered. Did we have this one in the last go round?
We just did this one, yes.
Let's skip it. We did this one in the last one. Okay, which of the following is the best definition of need, which is an input to any BA task? A need is synonymous with a request, a problem or opportunity to be addressed. A need is synonymous with a business requirement or the perceived gap between business goals and the current state environment.
Ooh.
Because we have requirements in A and C.
B, a problem or opportunity.
I would go for C. I mean, it's kind of the same.
Certainly, a need is not synonymous with business requirement or requirement
Yes.
to me.
Yeah, and I think A is too close to C for me. I'd go for B personally.
Let's try B and see what happens.
Yeah.
I like D, but I'm wrong.
You know what? If we were all perfect, we wouldn't need study group, right? The BACCM defines need as a problem or opportunity to be addressed. Now we know. Gil was recently hired by Simon Technologies as a BA due to his extensive experience with customer relationship management systems. also known as CRMs. Gil immediately began designing the future state processes based upon what he had seen work best for other organizations. According to the BACCM, what is Gil missing? Context, necessity, solution, or value?
A.
Yeah.
Correct. Context is defined by the BABOK as everything relevant to the change that is within the environment. Gil is not conducting activities to understand Summit Technologies' environment. He's looking at what he knows. That will cause somebody to trip up. Hopefully somebody flags him down and says, hey, wait a minute. Do you know what we're talking about? Let's see, we did not go through this one before. Eliciting requirements is a key task in business analysis and serves as the foundation for the solution to the business needs. The business analyst should understand the commonly used techniques to elicit requirements, should be able to select appropriate techniques for a given solution, and be knowledgeable of the tasks needed to prepare, execute, and complete each technique. According to the BABOK, what types of requirements are elicited? So this is the question. The rest of it is not even important to what we need. The answer is focus, technical, organizational, external, or non-technical, functional, non-functional, customer and stakeholder, isolated, compartmental, validation and verification, and business stakeholder solution and transition.
I mean, B.
Yeah,
Sounds
B.
like B.
Second for that.
This is a partial list. Customer requirements is not on a classification list. However, this is part of the BABOK requirements classification schema list. Business requirements, stakeholder requirements, solution requirements, and transition requirements. Solution encompasses both functional and non-functional. Is that correct, Bob?
Sure.
So these four are what we need to look for, but solution has two parts.
Would you
can
mind-
think of the business requirements as being part of the overall project need, stakeholder requirements as the requirements for the project, solution requirements being the implementation areas, and the transition requirements being deployment, or I'm sorry, solution requirements are the design, and transition is implementation and deployment.
Any questions on that, folks? All right. Two analysts were having a debate about which job titles actually conduct business analysis. Which of the following include job titles that perform business analysis? Which is interesting because job titles really aren't the only way to determine that, but for the BABOK, we're going to pretend like it is. Process analyst, business systems analyst, product owner, product manager. Job titles aren't important. Anyone can be considered a business analyst regardless of their job title if they perform business analysis tasks. Process analyst, business systems analyst, product owner, product manager, or process analyst, business systems analyst, enterprise analyst. What is the correct answer?
B.
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 A business analyst is any person who performs business analysis tasks described in the BABOK regardless of their job title. The list is common titles, but is not an all-inclusive list. Andre is focusing on documenting the needs of the enterprise related to data conversion. What type of requirements is Andre documenting? So needs of the enterprise related to data conversion. Is it functional, solution, non-functional, or transition?
A transition. D.
Yeah, I'm leaning towards that too.
There's our keyword right there. Transition requirements are temporary in nature and facilitate the transition from the current state to the future state. Data conversion, training, and business continuity are listed as examples of transitional requirements. Very good, guys.
I disagree with that answer, but go with the BABOK.
Okay. One of the explanations of transition is they will come to an end whenever the project is implemented. You've got to have that as a transition requirement. Which key area has a set of tasks that helps ensure that the right people are involved in developing, I'm sorry, I just realized something I just said. See this word right here, training? From what I just said, it sounds like you will no longer train once you implement. There will be ongoing training for new users or rusty users, but this is training to help people learn how to use the new system is what this is talking about. Does that make sense? So this is just, you know how to use the old system. This is how to use the new system. This is that transition training. And that's the only kind of training we're talking about in this case.
Yeah, I still disagree with it. I disagree with the entire question. That's just me, though.
Tell us why you disagree, Bob. You may teach us.
Well, maybe it's because I know too much about what this could be. I look at it as functional, meaning figuring out qualitatively and conceptually what you need. It's like if Cliff was gonna do a giant ETL, he would analyze all the data that exists, all the fields, all the data types of what they mean, their ranges, their context, and he'd figure out conceptually when he needs to do to transform them. And that's the functional requirement. And then the solution requirement would be, here's the process we're going to implement to do all that. Here's what we transform. Here's what we program. Here's what we keep. Here's what we don't keep. Here's what we merge. Here's what we check. And then the transition is actually going ahead and building that. So the question is totally vague. It doesn't give you enough context.
I can understand it.
Option set mapping comes to mind right off the bat with that question. Like you said, Bob, in one system, it's this, you got to transform it to this when you migrate it from Salesforce to Dynamics kind of thing, which is what I do. But that's beside, but that's what I think of when I see that. I don't even think of training.
Well, for that particular thing, I can understand why you wouldn't think of training.
Can I take the screen for a second?
Sure. We do have 4 minutes, so you're welcome to it.
All right. Somebody else is sharing.
Oh, I'll stop sharing. There you go.
Oh, yeah, your screen and that. So like I told you before, I have this grid here, the 6 knowledge areas.
Hang on, Bob. You're not sharing your screen yet.
Oh, sorry.
Cliff, by the way, your background is amazing.
Yes, it is.
All
Can
right.
you tell I'm a Star Wars geek? Yeah.
Here are the 6 knowledge areas in the BABOK, and here is the way I think about doing business analysis or project engagement in every case. And the intended use is phase 1, that's essentially identifying the overall business need, doing the planning and so on. Then you get to requirements, which is the stakeholder requirements, conceptual models, phase 2, finding out what's going on now. requirements is what do we need in an abstract way that's driven by the stakeholders. Then the design is the to-be state that's a concrete form of it. And that's the solution requirements. That's where you touch on functional and non-functional. And then the implementation and deployment and testing, all that's the transition. So how do you get from here to there? That's my take. And
I understand your concern now.
I
I'll
should
tell you
be-
what, I will ponder that question and we can maybe have a better answer for you next week. We are at the end of our time. Does anyone have any questions from what we went over today?
Yeah, I just have a general question. So those are mostly those are questions which mostly will come up on the exam, right? CBAP.
Yes. These are test questions. Some of them will be on the exam. Some of them are similar to questions that will be on the exam, but the strategy that you need to use to achieve the exam, to pass the exam, is the same as you would use to answer these questions. So things like eliminating the ones that don't make sense first, then figuring out which ones do make sense, and then figure out which ones make the most sense according to what you know about the BABOK. Those are steps you need to go through for almost every single question.
Yeah, because what I heard or read that there will be use cases, or some study cases, and then you have questions to that study. It's like a couple pages. Is that still true? You have like a couple pages of the study, and then you have a bunch of questions to that study.
Bob, you want to answer that since you've taken the test recently?
Yeah, there are case questions where they'll give you a handful of paragraphs and then they'll give you like 3 to 5 questions. I actually wrote some for adaptive training, adaptive US, I think, and I wrote them for all 6 knowledge areas, like 5 each. So they definitely do that.
So we definitely have the right person on the call with us. Next week, if y'all don't mind, we won't go through 1 and 2 again. Let's go to the next one. I believe it's requirements analysis and design definition. Isn't that correct, Bob? Am I getting them out of order?
No, that's perfect.
Okay, so this will be the next set. I believe it's.
Hold on, chapter number 3 is business analysis, planning and monitoring.
This one?
Yeah, it's chapter number 3.
Chapter number 3. Okay, next week it's business analysis, planning and monitoring. Thank you very much, Julia. So that's chapter 3. If y'all will read chapter 3 before next week, we will be more successful than we would be if you don't. We need every single one of you on board to help us figure out what the correct answers are so that we can continue to make spectacular grades and test results on this. So we will do business analysis, planning and monitoring next week, chapter 3, Tuesday at the same time. And continue to show up so we can continue to give you credit for this class. Does anyone have any questions? Okay, if you would like to contact me, please contact me through LinkedIn because I lose things in my email. I've got too many recruiters and I'm buying a house and all that stuff. So contact me through LinkedIn. You're welcome to link with me. If you have any requests to be introduced to anyone in my network, I've got a little over 11,000 people. I try to help every single person that asks me for help. So ask me for help.
Could you put your LinkedIn into the chat real quick? I tried reaching out to you, I think, but I'm not sure I got the right person.
Well, I tell you what, there's not very many people that are like me. So let me just do it this way.
Can I have a quick question? Because
sure, go ahead.
I'm certified from BABOK too, but I'm happy to, refresh knowledge and to learn anything new. But if I want to recertify, will this time we spend together qualify for CDUs, or I will not be able to get any CDUs from the time of studying the BABOK? CDUs, continuing development units, I mean.
Yes, you will be able to get CDUs from this study, yes.
Okay, just wanted to double check. Thank you.
Okay, so on LinkedIn, this is who I am.
Okay, I think I sent you a message, but I'm not sure if I did it right then. Interesting. Okay, well,
Well,
I'll try it again.
If you did and I didn't reach back out, what I did is I responded to the meetup and it said respond to all participants, and apparently it didn't go anywhere. So I thought I was responding to everyone that way. I will respond to individual emails that you send to me through LinkedIn from now on. Okay. If anyone is still looking for a job, or if you need introductions, or if you have specific questions, or if you just want resume review, reach out. We'll do what we can to help. Okay, guys, see you next week.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye.